Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Fishbowltales. In this week's episode, I'm going to be finishing up the radiator ducting. Just a little bit of overbend, but I think that is going to work. Check it out. Check this out. I think we just about knocked it out of the park on the first try. Super stoked about this. Alright, look at that. Follows the bar just like I wanted it to. I've just got it rough clamped in place because it is running into the engine mount way back down there. I don't know if you can see that too well, but take a look across the top there. Fits really nice. That kind of gives you an idea of what the whole thing's going to look like. It'll all be one big giant enclosed section, but it'll be really functional. So you can see in here, all of that hot air is going to get ducted right out of the radiator and straight down underneath the bus. Alright, so I've got the top panel cut and fit, and it's looking pretty good in there. I did miss the mark a little bit on this back corner here. I notched it earlier and went a little too far because I actually shortened up this top panel here. And I should have done that first and then notched it to fit, but I went backwards. Either way, it's fitting really, really nice. Follows the bar, you can't see the reveal, it's hidden back there. Looks really good, so I'm gonna move on to making this front piece now, and I'll catch you guys in the fabrication. So fabrication is definitely not the most glamorous thing in the world, and I will show you why. So I decided to start with the back panel first, just because it's going to be the hardest to get to. So what I have to do is fit myself in there, and I am not a particularly small human being. So yeah, let's see how this goes, and hopefully this thing fits the first time. Oh yeah, like a glove. Well, could be better, could be worse, but this isn't that bad. Alright, let's see what we need to do to it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is cut the section of the template off that actually fits around the frame rail. I'm going to leave that for later. I'll get it fitting nice everywhere else, and then we'll come in and piece that section together with smaller pieces of cardboard until it all fits right. Then we can transfer all of that to a piece of aluminum and cut it out. Ooh, and out we come. Alright, so simple explanation of what I've done inside of there. I basically cut the section that was notched to go around the frame rail off of the template. The template's not quite right, but the side that fits against the radiator and the top edge line up pretty well. So I've just got to go in, I've got to fix the angle and pick up that notch that goes around the frame rail, and we'll be good to go. So let's get started on that. So I've got a quick tip for you guys before I actually cut this part out. What I've done is I've laid the template onto our sheet of raw material here, and I've transferred all the marks. Now usually what I'll do is I'll go through and take a little bit of acetone and get rid of all of my extra marks, so what I have on my raw material is what I'm going to cut out. Now that works in some cases, but the right way to do it, so that you actually have a guideline to cut on, is to extend your marks all the way to the edge of the material. So in this instance here, we'd have 1.25 inches of raw material here that we would have no mark on, so you'd have to kind of just eyeball it and try to follow your line, you know, starting from the edge. Here I've extended it all the way out, done the same thing on this corner here, and I've done the same thing back down on the bottom, where basically if we're going to chop this whole thing out of this piece of material, and we've got to chop along this angled cut here, I've taken that line and just pulled it all the way back to the edge of the material, so we can start all the way out here, zip it off, and we don't have to have any guesswork. You know, we don't have to kind of eyeball that line until we actually hit it and then try to correct if we're off by a little bit. So just a quick tip, thought you guys might enjoy that, and let's get to work. Yeah, it's not great. So I built the back panel and it fits pretty well. Not gonna lie, I really like the way that panel fits up in there. But now the top panel's not quite lining up, so I think what I'm gonna do is build the side panel for the front, get that one in place, get everything figured out there so that everything fits and I have my actual dimensions picked out and locked in. And I'm going to rebuild the top panel. I should have done it this way in the first place. I know. We're learning as we go, right? So I'm going to flip you around real quick and take a look at what exactly we've got going on over here. So this panel here is not fitting right anymore. If you look down in there, you can see I've got the back panel in place. It fits really nice against the radiator. All the flanges line up really good. What happened, I didn't decrease enough distance when I did my bends, so that material that moved in the bend actually pushed it out just a little bit and spread everything apart. I should have known better. So what we've got going on this top section here is there's actually, you can see there's a gap there. Those are supposed to sit flush up against each other. So I think what I'm going to do now is actually build this whole top cover section and the part that's notched around the tube out of one piece. So you can basically just boop, stick it in there. That'll all bolt down, and you won't have so many pieces along the top here getting put together. And you can see, to line up where I need it now, there's a pretty sizable gap along that bottom edge. It's actually touching in the very back corner, but there's a gap all the way up to the front, and it's, I don't know, I would say about 3/8 of an inch or so up here at the very front. So I'm going to get started on making this front panel here. We'll get that in place, and we'll actually grab some solid measurements for this top panel and make it correctly, the way that it should have been in the first place. I think we're on the right track now. It's starting to look really good. Check it out. So I've got the front panel installed. It's just sitting in there. It's got one cleco in the top, just holding it in place for now, but look at that. Fits the top of the frame rail, fits the bottom of the frame rail. Wow, pretty stoked about that. The top panel should go really quickly now. Now we know where it's going to meet the frame rail. We know where the bend is. We know what our notches look like. We can basically just pick up all of the cleco marks on this piece here, mark everything out, re-drill all the holes, and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to get started on that tomorrow. As for today, that's about all the time I have left. I need to run into town and go to the Home Depot real quick and pick up a couple of files and things that I cannot find anywhere in this shop. So I'll pick you guys back up in the morning. Welcome back, folks. So this week took a little bit of an unexpected turn. It's been a couple of days since the last half of the video. Kyra ended up going to the ER. She got a really bad cut on her hand that needed a few stitches, so that plus a few other things that have been going on this week, everything got pushed back quite a ways. So I'm going to see what I can do about this top panel tonight, see if I can get it finished up. Probably won't have any hardware in it because I'd like to do a video next week talking about a couple of the specialty tools that I've made to make putting all the hardware into this a little bit nicer. So let's get started on that top panel and we'll see what we can get done. You know when you finally do something the right way and it makes you question how many things you've been screwing up this whole time? Well, that's pretty much what I just went through on this top panel. Made it all out of one piece and it just looks so much better. It fits better. Everything lines up the way it's supposed to. I don't know why I didn't do it this way in the first place. So take a look at this. Tell me what you think about that. So now, instead of having this piece right here on the top to line up with all the bars and get everything right and having two sets of fasteners on it, now it's only going to have one set of fasteners that'll hold it right against this back edge, and then there will be fasteners all down this edge here. But just take a look at that, man. It just looks so much better. And I was fighting really hard to get this line parallel with the frame rail, and I finally got it on this piece. That distance there is nice and even all the way down. And if you push that in like that, I don't have any hardware in here yet, so it's fighting itself to stay in place, but that just looks so good. This section here is nice and flat, nothing to grab on. Man, that's gonna look really, really nice when it's all finished up. So in next week's episode, I'm going to go ahead and do all of the fasteners. I'm going to get everything put in place. I have some really, really cool specialty tools that I've made to recess the head of the nutserts So I think that's going to be an awesome little segment there to show you guys. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.